And then that front line, dangerous front line of Lamine Yamal, who scored the penalty to equalise right at the end at St James's Park. Robert Lewandowski, the 37-year-old great. And Rafinha, the former Leeds United man, on the left-hand side. Marcus Rashford among the substitutes again. And Newcastle, Ramsdale in goal. Trippier, rather than Livramento, he's on the bench. So Trippier the captain, Chow, Byrne and Hall. Then Sandro Tonali with Jacob Ramsey and Joe Linton. Anthony Elanga, Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes. Just about ready to go. We are ready to go. The referee, the Frenchman, Francois Letessier, the man who took charge of the final of Euro 2024, has been placed in charge for this. It's Newcastle who kick off, and already you can see the effect of this swirling, blustery wind inside the big open bowl of the new camp. Dan Byrne hitting a pass forward. I can see the ball spinning and wobbling in the air down below, and then it's headed out of play for a throw to Newcastle down the left. Chris Sutton with us, Champions League player, Champions League goal scorer. Chris, who played here for Celtic successfully as well. Here's Gordon on the left-hand side for Newcastle. He's claiming that he was tugged over by Eric Garcia. Referee Letessier agrees. Free kick to Newcastle on the left wing.
Yes, it's good feet from Anthony Gordon on that left-hand side. And he wins a free kick, and this is where you feel that Newcastle can cause Barcelona one or two problems. Set plays, they have the physicality, Newcastle, that height advantage, so it's really key. The delivery is Tonali coming over onto this left-hand side. This will be a right-footed in-swinger. It's important he gets the delivery on point.
Yes, Tonali, so important with Bruno Guimaraes out currently. Tonali, I'm not sure how match fit he is, having missed a lot of training in the last week. Tonali plays it in, headed away out of the penalty area, lifted back in by Elanga, but all the way through to goalkeeper Garcia, who's able to just watch that drop into his gloves. Yes, Tonali was able to train here inside the stadium last night with Newcastle. Missed Stamford Bridge through illness, and here he is on the ball. Whether he'll be able to last the full 90 minutes, we'll see. But that's a lovely pass from the Italian to Harvey Barnes on the left-hand side. Barnes beats his man, right-footed cross to the back post, which is headed up and away by Cancelo, with Elanga lurking behind him. And it's a corner to Newcastle.
And let's not get carried away. We're 2 minutes in, but really encouraging start. That space in behind. We talk about the Barcelona high line. And when Newcastle are winning the ball, it's gone straight in behind. They win a corner.
Yes, let's not get carried away, because last week when I was in Madrid, Tottenham actually made a decent start against Atletico Madrid. And Newcastle take the corner short. Hall and Trippier. Trippier's got it back. Trippier with the cross, looking towards Chow. Chow heads it to the edge of the area. Dan Byrne shoots, but straight at goalkeeper Garcia from the edge of the area. If Byrne had scored that, well, that would have been one of the goals of his career.
Well, it would have been, especially because it was a right-footed effort. And of course, Dan Byrne, a big lefty, but he spun well there and got the shot off from 16 yards.
Yeah, Newcastle have imposed themselves on Barcelona, and here they come again, playing from right to left as we look from what is actually, I say it's an exposed commentary position. It is a brilliant commentary position. This is the best commentary position I've ever had in the new camp, because in the old new camp, did you ever come there with us? It's right up in the gods, next to the roof, down one end.
Yeah, thanks for remembering when we did a game together here, John.
My memory's not what it was. Here's Trippier playing the ball forward for Elanga, and then across from the back comes Gerard Martin to lump it forward towards Lewandowski, who brings it down, but he had the Newcastle defenders either side of him, Chow and Byrne, and they were able to play it back to Aaron Ramsdale, and Barcelona go back into their own half. And it is brilliantly atmospheric, because, again, I guess for a lot of Barcelona supporters, this being only the 13th match here, probably a fair number might not have been in here to watch Barcelona again. And they were away, they were elsewhere playing in the Olympic Stadium. They actually had to play in the Johan Cruyff Stadium as well, just 6,000 capacity during the course of that 2.5 years. But since they've come back, Barcelona have won 12 out of 12 in all competitions. Newcastle on the back foot, Rafinha with a cross, but Dan Byrne was able to slide in, deflect it behind, and Rafinha whips up the crowd as if that's needed. Corner Barcelona now.
Yeah, it's a good break from Barcelona on that left-hand side. Cancelo slipped a pass to Rafinha, and Byrne did brilliantly to make the block, because had the ball gone through to Lewandowski, he'd have been 8 yards out, goalkeeper to beat.
João Cancelo to take this corner, right-footed. They say he's been excellent. This is his 11th appearance back on loan. Deep one to the back post, and Ramsdale is able to catch that, when usually they didn't crowd the back post. As Ramsdale clears it, Lewandowski's impeded him. Ramsdale's claimed he's been fouled. Lewandowski says, "Get up," or words to that effect. And the referee just says, "Play on." Barcelona have got it on the edge of their penalty area. Lewandowski, incidentally, is wearing the mask on his face again after he fractured an eye socket last month. Ball's played forward now for Rafinha. It's going to bounce all the way. Oh, back to Rafinha. Chance here! And it's in! Barcelona take the lead in the 5th minute. Newcastle exposed. And Rafinha on his left foot, 10 yards out, made no mistake. Barcelona won. Newcastle United 0, and Barcelona ahead in the tie for the first time.
Yeah, no, it all starts with a wonderful turn from Lamine Yamal in the Newcastle half, spins and then he feeds the ball to Fermin Lopez, right hand side of the box, who then slips the ball to Rafinha. He's got too much time and space, but the turn from Yamal is absolutely sensational. And then they're onto the Newcastle back four, and he slips the ball to Fermin Lopez, who then just pops the ball back to Rafinha, who has time to compose himself, takes a step, and on that lethal left foot of his from 12 yards finds the far corner. Ramsdale, absolutely no chance, and we said, let's not get too carried away with Newcastle's first couple of minutes. Barcelona take the lead.
So on aggregate now, Barcelona lead by 2-1. So already this week, Chelsea out, Manchester City out, Arsenal are through, and now Newcastle, the task has become just that little bit harder. But I think coming here tonight, I think there was a widespread expectation that there could be quite a few goals in this. And it's taken less than 5 minutes for the first of them. As Chris said, a brilliant turn from Lamine Yamal against, I think it was Chow, wasn't it? Inside the Barcelona half. Magnificent turn and the pass forward, which actually initially was a poor touch from Rafinha, but the touch carried it to Fermin Lopez, who was right side of the box, who was able to return it to Rafinha, who, as I say, was 10-11 yards out, slight angle, and just passed it in, didn't he, with his left foot across Ramsdale, who had no chance. 1-0. And here's one forward for Fermin Lopez. Ramsdale out of his penalty area, he had to make that. Well, he went to take absolutely everything. Crucially, he timed it brilliantly, and it was an excellent tackle. Although the referee's just saying, hang on a minute, we're just going to have a look at something. And he says, yeah,
whether that was, I don't know what they're looking at, maybe the challenge from Ramsdale on.
Whether they thought maybe he'd made contact with Fermin Lopez first, but they were happy to have a quick look and have let play continue.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tonali, worry about him, and of course he's been unwell. That was a lazy right leg of his, which he couldn't bring the ball down. He's got to be up to speed tonight, and it's unfortunate for Eddie Howe, because is maybe taking a bit of a calculated risk of a fit and firing Tonali, and you think Newcastle have a far better chance of competing in that midfield area.
So 1-0 to Barcelona. If you've switched on for Drive, an early finish this evening again for more Champions League commentary, and already things have turned against Newcastle. Newcastle, who have only been here twice before, lost on both occasions, and that was now a long time ago. Back in the early 2000s it was, when Newcastle were last here. I remember Shola Amiobi scoring. I also remember the match was delayed 24 hours because of torrential rain in Barcelona, and we had to stay on for an extra day to see that match back in the group stages. But that seems like an age ago now. Barcelona, here's Rafinha, the goal scorer, Rafinha, who's collected his 18th goal of the season. Elanga is picked up for a foul on Joao Cancelo, and it's a free kick to Barcelona halfway inside their own half.
Yeah, Barcelona, they set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Bernal sort of playing as the deep-lying midfielder with Pedri, who's just on the ball on the half-turn. He can dictate a game. Newcastle got to be wary of him.
Yes, as the ball is played forward by Lamine Yamal, looking again for that run from centre field from the dangerous Fermin Lopez, the number 16. They might not have Frankie de Jong in the midfield at the moment on the injured list. Barnes has won the ball back, but in slides the challenge. Barnes is able to get back to his feet, beats the challenge of Bernal, who might have stood on Barnes actually as he got away with that, and the free kick has been given Newcastle's way.
And you do sense there is a vulnerability about Barcelona in these opening stages of the game, where Newcastle, they can hurt them. They just need, when they get the opportunity. I mean, another chance for a delivery from a free kick from Tonali. It's all going to be about their final ball and making the most of the opportunities which do come their way.
So a free kick to Newcastle on the left-hand side that Tonali will take. He's already had one from round about this position. This is maybe a little further away and a little wider. Gordon's just standing beyond the Barcelona line. The defenders along the edge of their own penalty area. 1-0 for that Rafinha goal in the 6th minute, actually it was. It's been timed. Tonali raises his left arm. Tonali curls it in next to the penalty spot, but that's headed down and away to comparative safety. Lewis Hall is going to play it back with Rafinha nearest to him, all the way back to Ramsdale. A high ball through the middle. You might be able to hear that wind gusting in our effects microphone as Lewandowski is challenged in the centre circle, doesn't get the free kick. He's not impressed with that, Chris. Lots of arm waving from Lewandowski, and then poor touch from Elanga. Ball's out of play for a throw to Barcelona.
And Lewandowski still having a pop at the referee. Dan Burn goes all the way in with him. I mean, Lewandowski is 37 years old. He's been a fine player. He's not going to run the Newcastle centre-halves in behind. He's not going to have the pace on Chow and Dan Burn. Have to get the pace from other areas.
Yeah, only two men have scored more goals than Lewandowski in the Champions League, and they just happen to be Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. That's not a bad third place, is it?
It's not too bad, but I suppose for Hansi Flick, he has had that issue all season, hasn't he, about who he should play centre forward, using Lewandowski sparingly and having the option of Ferran Torres, who's a bit more mobile and better with the press and maybe creates more. But there he goes, Lewandowski
chasing,
make a channel run, but can't get there.
No, he can't. Beaten to it by Chow after a lovely pass actually from Lamine Yamal, who does look full of confidence, and then Lamine Yamal fouls Lewis Hall, and it's a free kick to Newcastle in their own left-back position. They'll have thought about all eventualities, Newcastle, won't they? What happens if we concede an early goal? But there's so much experience out there that Dan Burn just taking this free kick, and the suggestion is that the ball was rolling. It's the assistant actually who's drawn the attention of the referee to that, so Newcastle have to come back and take the free kick again. It's got a real wide open feel, the stadium, this wide ball. When it's finished, it's going to look absolutely spectacular. And for Spain to have the Bernabeu, which has now been finished, and the plans they have for this stadium, they will be two of the finest football stadiums in any country in the world when they're finished. Ramsdale strikes this long downfield, and it's headed forward centrally by Gerard Martin. Then Fermin Lopez with the pass, but Kieran Trippier is able to come across, finds Joe Linton in the midfield. Joe Linton surrounded by blue and red shirts, but does well actually to keep the ball. Just passes it back to Burn on the edge of the box, and now Ramsdale is able to curl a pass beyond the goal scorer Rafinha. Now infield, Jacob Ramsey's got to be careful here. He is being chased all the way by Pedri, but he is able to play it away. Lewis Hall does very well, slips the ball past Eric Garcia. Hall's ball to the edge of the box. Elanga could be in to score for Newcastle and make it 1-1. Brilliant from Hall on the left. He was absolutely instrumental in it. But Anthony Elanga in the middle to drive it low underneath Joan Garcia and make it 1-1 on the night, 2-2 on aggregate.
And it's a brilliant goal, it really is. Said maybe the opportunities may come for Newcastle, and it's from one end to the other. Ramsdale, brave on the ball, pops it out to the right back and then inside to Ramsey, who takes the ball under pressure, switches it left, and really good build-up play on that left-hand side. A give and go from Lewis Hall, and he feeds the ball across to Elanga, who's central. Elanga lets the ball run across his body, and then the finish is sensational, it really is. He goes back across Garcia in the Barcelona goal, sits him down. It's a wonderful right-footed finish from Elanga. I mentioned he hasn't had the best of seasons at Newcastle, but just how big a goal could that be? Sensational comeback from Newcastle.
And the tie in this round of 16 in the Champions League is back all level. After the 1-1 at St James's Park last week, now it's 1-1 here in Barcelona, and that is just what Newcastle needed. Pass forward, it actually hits Tonali as he was chasing after Fermin Lopez, who goes back into the challenge, and then Tonali puts it out of play for a throw-in. So Anthony Elanga becomes only the second man to score for Newcastle United against Barcelona here in the Nou Camp. Just his second goal for Newcastle, and he has improved from, admittedly, quite a low base. He did struggle in the early stages, but Anthony Elanga was telling us when we were in Baku with Newcastle, Chris, he said that he lives his life and his football career with his own personal motto of précis, pas pressé, which means precise, not rushed. And he was exactly that there.
Yeah. That was a lovely finish. He still had a bit to do. I mean, you could say it's a one-on-one, but to keep Garcia as he did do and whip it back across him, it was a really composed finish.
Barcelona 1, Newcastle 1, and still we've played only, well, nearly 16 minutes. So the Barcelona lead, Chris, lasted for 9 minutes, and that is a great response from Newcastle. And that's what Eddie Howe was looking for with this team selection, with Gordon and Elanga and Barnes. As Lamine Yamal carries the ball forward and was pulled back, he was impeded there, and it's a yellow card. I think Joe Linton it is, who is the Newcastle player who was yellow carded. There were 3 of them round him, and Joe Linton is one of the Newcastle players who came into this 1 yellow away from a suspension. So if Newcastle go through to play either Atletico Madrid or Tottenham, Joe Linton would be suspended for the first leg of the quarter-final.
Yeah, and Joe Linton will be saying to the referee, well, that's my first foul, but in fairness, Yamal was away from him. He pulled him down halfway in the Newcastle half. He looks so sharp, doesn't he? Yamal.
This is brilliantly set up, isn't it? I hope this atmosphere is coming across to you. When it's finished, there'll be over 100,000 people in this stadium. It feels like 100,000 people now with only 60-odd. Free kick then. Rafinha is going to curl it in beyond the back line. It's headed down and across, and it's tapped in! And Barcelona are back in front. Bernal, he couldn't miss from there. And this second leg may well be full of goals. Already 3 of them. Barcelona 2-1 up on the night. And that is now 3-2 on aggregate.
Yeah, and Eddie Howe will be, I think he'll be really furious with the nature of the goal. We talked about Newcastle have the height, they have the physicality over this Barcelona team, and it's a free kick, a floated ball from Rafinha to the far post, and it's headed back across to Bernal, who's 6 yards out, and he can't miss. It's headed back across by Gerald Martin, and the ball just sits up 6 yards out. Dan Burn can't quite get out to Bernal, makes himself big and tries to block it, but it's a simple side-footed finish. But how Gerald Martin gets that time and space to knock the ball down, that will be the frustration for Eddie Howe. It's an absolute shocker for Newcastle.
Poor goal to concede like that from a set piece, and Eddie Howe standing down there with Jason Tindall just to his left, and the 2 of them, of all of the games, to concede a goal like that too easy. Hall with a long pass forward, but that'll bounce all the way through to the Barcelona goalkeeper, Garcia. So Barcelona back in front, and Newcastle were level for only 3 minutes. As I say, this could have a few goals in it. There's no question of that. And I think as well, on a night like this, with that tricky wind, that blustery wind, Garcia passing the ball out through the middle, and it's helped forward by Rafinha. Now here's Lewandowski in the centre circle. He allows it to run to Bernal, who's just scored. Bernal, the number 22, the 18-year-old, one of these teenagers in this youthful-looking Barcelona team. Joao Cancelo, he's one of the 30-somethings. He carries it forward. He's well challenged. Jacob Ramsey knocks it back to the edge of his own penalty area, and Chow will turn and play it back to Ramsdale, who's already been beaten twice. Not a thing he can do about it. Burns in trouble, needs Tonali to come and help, which he has. Fermin Lopez is putting Tonali under pressure, and Tonali's had to concede a corner.
Yeah, and Lewandowski in his pomp, I think, finishes that, and Burn just got caught. Newcastle building, or trying to build from the back, saying we're going to trust our process and the way we build. Barcelona with a full-on press there, and Lewandowski just not quick enough feet to get away from Burn. But here's an early substitution, John.
Yeah, Barcelona having to make a change. Eric Garcia, who is brought in, obviously has got a problem and is having to leave after, well, where are we now? We're in the 21st minute, and coming on to replace him is the club captain, Ronald Araujo, the Uruguayan international, who's very much a part of the furniture here. Played in the first leg, remember, as the right back. Been at Barcelona for 8 years now, and he comes on, and actually he's been handed the captain's armband, having come onto the field. So play will resume with a corner to Barcelona from the right. Rafinha's just got that yellow and red striped Catalan armband wrapped around Araujo's upper left bicep, and Rafinha is going to take the corner. 2-1 to Barcelona on the night. Newcastle have got to hold firm here. They can't afford to let another one in. If Barcelona get 2 goals ahead, then, well, good luck Newcastle. Rafinha into the near post, and Araujo arriving onto it, heads it wide. That he came off Chow, who went with him, and it's another corner, and Ramsdale comes and says to Chow, well done, low 5.
Yeah, well, left-footed in-swing, and Araujo actually got across Chow, didn't get anything on the header. Chow got slightly lucky there.
Again, Rafinha with the corner, again into the near post, and wickedly whipped in, and Chow had to come across. Joe Linton was there, got a leg to it this time. Chow straight behind into the ultras behind the goal. Corner again.
Joe Linton is in that near post space area. He can't keep letting Araujo get that run and the first contact.
Here's another one again into the near post, and again Araujo ahead of Joe Linton, but into the side netting, the outside netting, and behind. Goal kick this time.
I don't get it. Joe Linton, dereliction of duty there at the near post. Chow is picking up Araujo, but Joe Linton's job, I used to do that job myself, near post space. Your job is to make sure that no attacking play gets in front of you there and gets that first contact. You have to get that first contact. And Joe Linton 3 times was beaten.
Well, we're midway through the first half, and what a match it's been so far, Chris.
Yes. Barcelona look like they're going to score every time they go up the pitch, but Newcastle have looked a real threat as well. Yeah, memories of that semi-final that Mark Chapman was talking about before the match against Inter last season, which was, I mean, what a tie that was. Do you remember? 3-3 in the first leg, and Inter won the second leg 4-3 after extra time. And they could, if you remember, could have been many more goals in that tie. Eventually Inter losing out to PSG in the final in Munich. So 2-1 to Barcelona, 3-2 on aggregate. A little later on, stay with us on 5 Live. Ian Dennis will be bringing you the commentary from Anfield on the second leg between Liverpool and Galatasaray, as Liverpool look to overturn that 1-0 defeat, as Araujo goes for the same ball as Kubasi, and they've clashed heads, the 2 Barcelona players, and it's the youngster who's come off worst. Araujo's fine, he's leaning over his teammate, but Kubasi is lying flat on his back. Yeah, he's just sat up there. That's the old, an early shout sorts it out. Lack of communication, you don't normally associate things like that with team as good as Barcelona, but the player's getting a mix there, and Araujo headbutts his own teammate. Koubassi's sitting up now, looks okay, back on his feet.
Eddie Howe just getting a chance to have a little chat with Tonali, who's come across for a swig of water, the only Newcastle player to do that. And Koubassi, they've looked at him, not for long, and the youngster, Spanish international, 19 years old, is just going to come off the field for the time being. And the referee will restart play just by an uncontested drop ball. Anthony Gordon says for Marc Bernal, who's going to drop into the back line just while Koubassi's off the field. And Koubassi plays it back to Garcia. Trippier, here's one for Elanga to chase, already on the score sheet for Newcastle. That is thumped out of play by Gerard Martin, throwing to Newcastle down the right wing. 25 minutes played. 2-1 to Barcelona.
Yeah, we actually spoke before the game about Trippier and Livramento fit now. That was maybe a decision for Eddie Howe's gone with that experience, but you could argue Livramento probably a better defender than Trippier. Trippier, I'd say, arguably better going forward.
Newcastle do come forward with Hall and Barnes. Barnes curls one over the top. Goalkeeper Garcia's come out of his penalty area to get there first, and with his right foot he hoiks it forward near the centre circle, and then forward from Pedri, but that's way beyond Rafinha. And Malik Chow will get there first for Newcastle, passes it back to Ramsdale, who rather daintily with his left foot chips it out to Trippier, who has to stretch to head it back to Chow. Then Trippier volleys it forward. Elanga's claiming that he was fouled, and he's got the free kick as well. I'm not sure how strong the contact was from Martin, and then what's happened there? Trippier's ended up on the ground.
It's Cancelo as
on Trippier.
Yeah, true. I think Trippier's going to try, or he's trying to take a quick free kick, and Cancelo on the way back he barges into him. I mean, there's not that much contact. Trippier goes down.
I think Trippier making use of some of those things that he learned when he was with Diego Simeone there.
What would those things have been, John?
To manage the game, I think is the phrase that they use. Free kick,
bit of housery there.
Well, you could also call it that. Barcelona 2, Newcastle 1. Diego Simeone will be in North London tonight, won't he? Tottenham can't possibly, can they?
No.
We'll keep you up to date with it in case it happens. Long free kick forward for Ramsdale. So Newcastle behind in the tie. Hall, lovely from him, outside of his foot to Barnes. Barnes works it across, back post, Elanga! It's 2-2! Brilliant again from Hall and Barnes, and Elanga scores 2 in the Nou Camp. 2-2 on the night, 3-3 on aggregate, and Newcastle twice tonight coming from a goal down.
What a game! What a match! Absolutely brilliant from Newcastle. They're brave and they're bold, aren't they? And Elanga at the far post. Barnes does brilliantly. It's actually careless from Barcelona at the back. And Lewis Hall, I wondered whether he could play the ball quicker to Barnes on that left-hand side inside the box, and then Barnes drags it onto his left foot. And I don't know whether it's a shot or a cross. You could say it's a cross shot, but it's Elanga in at the far post, runs off the back of Cancelo, and he can't miss. 6 yards out, 4 yards out. An easy tap-in at the end, and this Newcastle team, just keep coming back at Barcelona.
Well, that's a shocker for Barcelona. For Newcastle to peg it back now twice. And actually, as Pedri has gone down under a challenge from Joe Linton, who is on a yellow card in the centre circle. They want a free kick, the referee's not having it. Elanga with a cross, Gordon with a chance, and he's put it wide of the near post. And the crowd are enraged inside the Nou Camp because the referee did not give the free kick to Barcelona, and Hansi Flick's going to be in trouble. Or one of his coaching staff. They've said something out of turn to the fourth official, and it is, I think, one of his staff who is being shown a yellow card.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know why Hansi Flick is so frustrated there. It's a coming together. Joe Linton and Pedri. Pedri's getting up and saying he elbowed me. He didn't. Pedri is just smaller than Joe Linton, and he does catch him with his arm. He doesn't throw an elbow. I think the referee right to play advantage. And I've got to say, I think Anthony Gordon, you saw Elanga's reaction. Good ball whipped in from the right-hand side. Anthony Gordon, I think he's got to hit the target. Probably should have scored 6 yards out. Yet another chance for Newcastle.
So it's 2-2 if you've just joined us. An early finish to drive tonight to bring you Champions League commentary from here in Barcelona as darkness sets in and the floodlights take full effect. Joan Garcia taking a few risks, passing the ball across his penalty area. Newcastle have got it back. Geordie fans in good voice as well. Burns, ball forward to Barnes. Barnes, who very nearly laid it on a plate to Hall. I think there was an argument to say maybe Hall should have scored, but in fact he missed it, and Elanga made no mistake at the back post. And Anthony Elanga scoring twice. He's on a hat-trick in the Nou Camp. Ramsey to Trippier. Trippier on the right, then wins a throw-in over there on the far side of the field. So this busy night of European football, it is a Champions League final score night. So on your various devices, you can listen to us, you can listen to this 5 Live commentary and the Liverpool match later on, alongside the video printer and the final score graphics. Just go to the BBC website and app or the iPlayer and click on Champions League final score. TV highlights are on the BBC tonight. It's the Champions League match of the day with all of these midweek highlights, and indeed the goals and highlights will be available for you from 10 p.m. to choose whichever you want on the various BBC platforms. Chow has got to have a sure touch here, which he has, in between Rafinha and the masked Lewandowski, as Ramsey passes it forward through the high line. Elanga across, Gordon's in the middle, Gordon! It's saved, but the offside flag comes up. I did wonder, however, there wasn't a lot in it, but offside. Yeah. Free kick. What's happening there? Is there going to be a song?
Attention please.
Oh no, it's an announcement.
We ask Newcastle supporters to remain from throwing objects. Throwing objects, sanctions, and
you can hear that. The Newcastle United supporters in their high section of the stands, they're being asked not to throw objects down into. Well, the Barcelona fans are in the seats down in front of them. So let's hope that is respected by the Newcastle fans.
Yeah, absolutely right. There's absolutely no need for that if that is the case, as we just see Dan Burn go into the back of Lewandowski. I've got to say, Eddie Howe, I mean, the way he's set this Newcastle team up, I mean, he's going man for man. He's being really brave in the setup to come to the Nou Camp and go toe-to-toe with Barcelona. Mentioned it's not the Barcelona team of old, but I mean, they're still a very, very capable team. But that's Eddie Howe all over, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Tonali, and then Joe Linton apologises for passing the ball behind Barnes, and it's out of play. So yes, if you have switched on, Barcelona twice in front through Rafinha, who himself scored a hat-trick at the weekend on Sunday against Sevilla here, and Marc Bernal, a teenager, but 2 goals from Anthony Elanga to make it 2-2, 3-3 on aggregate. And Fermin Lopez, the excellent Fermin Lopez, through the middle, playing it out to the left-hand side to Joao Cancelo, but Newcastle win the ball back. Tonali, nice economical pass for him to Elanga, and then Barnes, Elanga, infield to Barnes, then Elanga again. Hall's joined in once more, getting forward whenever he can. Hall with the back heel flick to Elanga, Elanga back across, and it is cleared away. And that was brilliantly intricate from Newcastle United, who very nearly found a way through, and then Joe Linton is blatantly pulled back by Fermin Lopez. That's a free kick to Newcastle on the left, and Fermin Lopez, I would say, might be a little fortunate to have escaped without a yellow card for that.
I mean, that's I think you described that as a rugby tackle from Fermin Lopez on the bigger,
or a wrestling move.
Yeah, well, I go for rugby, you go for wrestling. It's all the same as a free kick to Newcastle. Some of their play, though, John, Newcastle's football and the bravery on the ball has been absolutely excellent, hasn't it?
And what makes it is that's what Barcelona are all about as well. So we've got two teams doing it. And as they say, it takes two to tango. Free kick for Newcastle. And again, this is the third time Tonali's had a free kick round about here. But actually, Hall passes it forward to Barnes, and Barnes curls it in. Garcia comes and is able to get his gloves to it with black and white stripes converging on him. He pats it down and picks it up on the bounce and gives it out. Superb first half in an incredible setting. I must say, if you switched on, this is something a little different here tonight. To be inside this building site, this stadium building site, 60,000 people, cranes everywhere you look when you look to the skies, and empty concrete terraces on the top tier, dust everywhere, and a thrilling match. 2-2. More Champions League commentary to come later, when Anfield tries to help Liverpool turn that around against Galatasaray. 5 Live, the place to listen. And also tomorrow night as well, when we'll be at Villa Park for the second leg of Aston Villa against Lille. 5 Live for the commentary from Villa Park with Conor McNamara and Dion Dublin tomorrow. Free kick, Lamine Yamal, just a little foul on him on the halfway line. 10 minutes to go to half-time. All square. And ball pass forward from Pedri. Fermin Lopez, lovely touch from him, and then very nearly found the pass around Byrne. He was able to block it. Elanga, who's been electric in the first half with his 2 goals. Then Trippier with a long pass. This is for Elanga to chase. Elanga's away from Cancelo. Elanga's early cross. Gordon's in the middle. Defender just gets a touch. Barnes might get there. Ramsey does as well. Now Joe Linton just outside the D. Back to Ramsey. And then Barcelona are back in position. They very nearly, Newcastle, found a way through again. Elanga takes it out there towards the corner flag. It's won back from him, and Barcelona could be away on the counter-attack. They're posing real problems, Newcastle, to Barcelona when they come forward, almost every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Elanga in this first half, probably his best first half in a Newcastle jersey. Not just his goals, but that threat, those balls in behind. The game plan from Eddie Howe going forward is working perfectly.
Barcelona, familiar territory for them in the round of 16 and beyond. They've won 15 of their last 16 round of 16 ties. And as I say, if they win tonight, it'll be the 25th time they've been in the quarterfinals in this competition. Newcastle, the first time they've ever been involved in a round of 16 knockout tie in the Champions League. Trippier carries it forward and then passes it forward to Elanga, who might have been pulled back there by Cancelo. It's just outside the penalty area, but there did seem to be an arm on the shoulder. Referee Letizia is having none of that. Kieran Trippier, as the captain, has gone across to the referee to make his case, and he's actually telling Gordon...
He's inside the box, isn't he?
To stay away.
Where the foul is. And Elanga gets in front of Cancelo. Now, does Elanga trip himself up, or does he get in front of Cancelo and Cancelo trip him?
Well,
he's had the pace on Cancelo all evening. And I tell you,
that could be a penalty.
Absolutely. I don't think he trips himself up. I think there's a touch, and this is what VAR will be looking at.
I mean, Cancelo will be saying that it was an accident.
But it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. As soon as Elanga gets in front of him, Cancelo, with all his experience, should actually slow down a little bit.
Well, they've looked at it, and it looks as though that's been dismissed. The video assistant referee, who's a Belgian, Bram van Drieschke, has had a look at it and decided it's not a penalty, and it's a throw into Newcastle to restart play. We'll be discussing that later, Chris. I think Eddie Howe, if things don't go Newcastle's way, long throw, Trippier into the area, flicked on by Byrne, and Joe Linton couldn't get there. It was cleared away by Fermin Lopez.
Well, you know what's going to be said if that was at the other end.
Yep. Would it have been given Barcelona's way? Hall drives a long pass forward, but that's out of play for a throw into Barcelona near their own corner flag. But I'm going to make a note of that, Chris. Cancelo on Elanga. Once they get a chance, it's quite difficult with this swirly wind to keep everything in check down here in front of me. I've got bits of paper flying all over the place. Chow Then back to Joe Linton. And Chow was just caught there. Lewandowski was able to get a touch. Rafinha back to Lewandowski. Oh, Bird with a block. And then Bird gets up and heads it behind. That should have been a third goal for Barcelona. And they couldn't take advantage.
Well, how crucial could that block be from Dan Burn? I'm sure the Lewandowski of old would have buried that. And Newcastle saying, well, there was a foul on Chow, where I think there was actually. Lewandowski clips the back of Chow's boot, and then they're 3-on-1. And Rafinha just feeds the ball to Lewandowski, who's 8 yards out, and all of a sudden that big long left leg of Dan Burn comes out.
Here's the corner to the back post, Araujo, but the referee has blown his whistle for a foul, presumably on Ramsdale. Araujo who's a real threat in there from the set pieces, but free kick Newcastle.
Yeah, it wasn't just the block from Burn though, was it? It was actually getting up and then winning the header and putting it behind when under pressure again from Lewandowski. What the first half we've had.
Eventful, not half. Barcelona 2, Newcastle 2. And the way this is shaping up, this could be a truly memorable night, whatever happens. It already has been. Ramsdale takes the free kick, long over the halfway line. Tonali, then Alango tried to flick it forward for Anthony Gordon. Barcelona were able to cut that out. Here's Pedri turning. Pedri, lovely on the ball. A pass to Lamine Yamal, this brilliant 18-year-old who plays the ball back towards the edge of his penalty area. I was reminded how Lamine Yamal actually played in the Euro 2024 final against England on the day after his 17th birthday. It's amazing, isn't it? When we're talking about Max Downman. Here Tonali is dispossessed by Fermin Lopez in his green boots. He actually takes the ball out towards the left-hand side, and here's Marc Bernal, who scored Barcelona's second goal. Bernal is challenged, and then Tonali's trying to win it back from Pedri, but illegally, and that is given us a free kick. Free kick to Barcelona in the centre circle. We've got just over 3 minutes of the first half to go, plus added time. I guess at half-time we'll probably be calling in at Anfield for the first time this evening. Ian Dennis and Paul Robinson are there this evening to bring you commentary on that. As Barcelona played through the middle, here's Lewandowski. He's found space, 22 yards out. Lewandowski shoots straight at Ramsdale, who's able to clutch the ball into his chest and hold it securely.
Yeah, Lewandowski coming short there, getting the ball played to him in behind that Newcastle midfield. 25 yards out centrally. Right-footed, but very comfortable for Ramsdale.
Also as well, we'll have a roundup of all the latest news if you have tuned in for Drive at half-time. Or Fermin Lopez wins it back from Tonali into the area. Tonali into the challenge. They want a free kick. The referee's not having it. And then a brilliant piece of footwork from Tonali. What a move that was. Swiveled his hips, took the ball away. He passes it forward to Barnes. Barnes now tearing down the left wing. Araujo is with him. Barnes has been able to find the pass to Hall. Hall to the byline. Hall chips it across, and it's caught by the goalkeeper at the near post.
They're a good combination, aren't they? Barnes and Hall on that left-hand side. But no, Hall went off the pitch when he put that cross in. Wasn't the best cross, too close to Garcia. Now he's trying to get back in position. Barnes, great recovery run, great desire to get back and slow down the Barcelona attack.
I think the England manager Thomas Tuchel might be keeping an eye on this combination, Hall and Barnes. Thomas Tuchel names his squad on Friday morning. We'll have that on 5 Live for you, and we'll hear from the man himself as Cancelo is able to take the ball on. Cancelo with a cross, stretch leg from Burn. Hall's back in there, volleys it up in the air, still inside the Newcastle box. Lewandowski is then dispossessed, and Barnes has taken it away from the great man. And then Gordon, he's fouled. Barnes is fouled as well, and it's a free kick to Newcastle, and the yellow card is whipped out for Pau Kubasi. I think that was the challenge on Gordon, but actually both Barcelona players could have been booked for those challenges.
Both Newcastle players down. Barnes has been sensational. Pops the ball off, looks for a 1-2, fires the ball into Anthony Gordon, who plays the ball into space. Barnes is caught by Araujo, and Anthony Gordon flattened by Kubasi.
Yeah, and so there will be a little pause here while Tonali receives some treatment after he was involved on the edge of the penalty area. The member of the Barcelona coaching staff, by the way, who was booked was Marcus Zorg, Hansi Flick's assistant, a little earlier. So 2-2 it is, 5 Live from the BBC. If you're on the move, listen to us via BBC Sounds at this time of day. Might be taking the dog for a walk back home or something like this. This will keep you gripped, I hope, for the remainder of that. And Tonali is just getting back to his feet. So 2-2, Barcelona twice ahead through Rafinha and Marc Bernal, but Anthony Elanga with both of the Newcastle equalisers. He's tripled his Newcastle goal tally tonight from 1 to 3. Another announcement, I think, is going to be made to tell us that there are 3 minutes of added time. Ramsdale hits this free kick forward into the penalty area, only half cleared. Joe Linton tried to stab it back into the box, and it comes back into the centre circle. The announcements, that little tone that it's got memories of Heidi High, hasn't it, for those who remember that. Here's Lamine Yamal flicking the ball in field. Lamine Yamal over the halfway line, away from Joe Linton. Hall trying to catch him. He's been one of the men of the first half. Brilliant pass. Excellent turn from Lewandowski. Rafinha with a shot. Ramsdale's lost it. Oh, and it's over the bar from Lamine Yamal. What a chance that was for Barcelona to lead for a third time tonight. And Lamine Yamal couldn't find the net. Over the bar.
Well, even the best miss them at times. That is a horrible miss from Yamal. He can't miss. He does miss somehow. They work it out brilliantly to the left. Lewandowski, quick feet, and the ball comes into him. It's a driving run from Yamal off that right-hand side. Left-footed ball into Lewandowski. Quick turn and swivel. Pass out left to Rafinha, who powers a shot. I think Ramsdale should do better and hold it. He doesn't. He spills it. I think it goes through Lewandowski's legs to Yamal, who's 6 yards out. The goal gaping. He can't miss. The best young player in the world, a yard over the bar. That is awful.
Newcastle were fortunate there as well that the block, the save from Ramsdale, didn't fall more kindly for Lewandowski, and as Chris said, just actually bounced through his legs and away. Barcelona 2, Newcastle 2. The thrills and the spills we've had here in the new camp, or Camp Nou if you prefer. And a free kick to Barcelona on the halfway line for a foul on Lamine Yamal. As I often say when we come here, Chris, I'm never quite sure how the Camp Nou, as they call it here in Catalonia, actually became accepted for people to say Nou Camp in the UK.
Well, did you not say last night to me that you thought it was Nou Camp? And I thought I always say Nou Camp.
I was grown up calling it. You know, I think a generation in the UK grew up calling it the Nou Camp.
That's what I'm saying. And then why did it change? Who changed it?
I don't know. Probably never changed here. Oh, what a pass from Lamine Yamal. Oh, and the ball from Fermin Lopez all the way across the 6-yard box. Rafinha's claiming that he was fouled by Trippier. The referee says no penalty. Barcelona are insistent that Trippier fouled Rafinha, who went tumbling on the edge of the 6-yard box, and the referee is saying that VAR will have a look at that. We've seen one replay, Chris. What do you think?
Well, he gets the run on Trippier. First of all, what a pass from Yamal outside of the left boot to Lopez, who fires the ball across, and Rafinha gets the run on Trippier, and it's whether there's enough of a tug. He does hold him back, I've got to say. Trippier, he doesn't hold him for long.
The referee is waiting for the advice of the Belgian video assistant referee. Oh, here we go. Yeah, he's going to the screen. It's going to be a penalty.
And another thing, it's going to be a red card for Trippier for holding him back. That little tug. But I tell you, if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm looking at the one earlier in the half where Elanga got the other side of Cancelo. I'm saying, well, why wasn't the referee told to go to the screen for that one?
Well, I'm peering over the heads of the Barcelona supporters in front of us now. Referee looking at the screen. We can see the pictures that he is looking at, and Trippier has a hold of Rafinha's arm, tugs his arm. Rafinha goes down. Chris is absolutely right. And now we've got a little bit of nonsense going on the pitch while the referee's looking at the screen. The Newcastle players are around the penalty spot, and the Barcelona players are trying to protect it. So that's going on. Referee's still looking at it. I thought it might be have been a quicker decision. So
there's definitely...
Here he comes.
A tug, isn't it?
Here he comes now. Yeah, he's walking forward. There is the rectangle in the air. It's a penalty. It's a penalty for Barcelona, and the red card. It's a yellow card.
I think Trippier's got away with that. That's a deliberate pullback.
How is that not the denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity?
I am baffled by that, but look,
that must have been what the discussion was about, whether it was a red card or a yellow.
It's a deliberate pullback, isn't it?
And I wonder if they're saying that they're not sure that Rafinha would actually have got to the ball, regardless. But even so, surely that's a red card.
Yeah.
But it's a penalty.
And you'd say, at least for Newcastle, they will keep 11 on the pitch.
Well, they've already come from 1-0 down, 2-1 down to make it 2-2. A third Barcelona goal. The way that they've played, I mean, Newcastle could easily be leading in this. It could be anything, actually. So the penalty is going to be taken by Lamine Yamal, the man who scored the late penalty in the 6th minute of added time at St James's Park to make it 1-1. Rafinha actually took and scored 2 penalties against Sevilla here in this stadium on Saturday, but Lamine Yamal is given the responsibility here with his left foot. He looks as calm as can be, the teenager. Ramsdale on the line. Penalty in added time at the end of the first half, and it's an excellent penalty. Above Ramsdale's dive to his left. He's crossed with himself, Ramsdale, thinking he might have been able to get a touch to that, but it was well struck by the teenager. Lamine Yamal scores with a penalty for the 2nd time in the tie, and Barcelona tonight are ahead for the 3rd time this evening. Barcelona 3, Newcastle 2, and that is 4-3 on aggregate.
Yeah, Yamal left-footed, goes to Ramsdale's left-hand side. Ramsdale goes the right way, but really accurate in the corner. Right in the corner, Ramsdale can't get it. Got to say, the pass from Yamal for the cross from Lopez was absolutely sensational. Outside of the left boot, the weight of the pass, and just watching the penalty again, Ramsdale's not far away. There's the half-time whistle. What a half. Ramsdale actually gets a touch on it. The penalty.
Got his fingertips to it, the very edge of his fingertips, not enough. Went the right way, but it just had too much on it. What an atmosphere inside here. And now the flags of Catalonia being waved again all the way around the stadium, the blue and red flags as well. Barcelona back in front. Newcastle have come back from a goal down twice. You can't keep coming back to the well, can you?
Well, they can, but I mean they're going to have to dig deep in the second half. I mean, so many things we can get stuck into in that first half. You think about the Elanga's 2 goals, possible penalty award for Newcastle. Referee wasn't called to the monitor. He was for the Newcastle or for the Barcelona penalty. Should have been a red card for Trippier. Anyway, that sort of, well, it is relevant, but Barcelona go in ahead, and I've got to say I'm looking forward to the second half.
What an absolute thriller we've got on our hands here in this unique setting. Half-time, Barcelona 3, Newcastle 2, Barcelona winning 4-3 on aggregate.
I mean, it is very much relevant, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's amazing. In the building side, it's not been a sight for sore eyes. I mean, it's been an enthralling first half. It really has.
John said they can't keep going back to the well, can they? On the evidence of that first half, they can. I mean, they are causing Barcelona exactly the sort of problems that we thought they might cause them.
Yeah, and I'm sure that would have been the game plan. The pace up top, space in behind. Elanga has been excellent off that right-hand side. I think Barnes is such a consistent player. Harvey Barnes is, and that link up with Hall has been really important. But Newcastle do look a threat. I mean, Anthony Gordon, I think, should have scored as well from the cross from Elanga. I mean, there's, from Eddie Howe's point of view, to come to the new camp or the Camp Nou or whatever they call it, and to go toe to toe, and that's what he's done. It's brave, and they go in 3-2 down. But you think there are more goals in this for Newcastle, but there are probably more goals in it for Barcelona. That's the unfortunate thing.
Can either of you understand the penalty being given but not the red card? I mean, Kieran, it sounds a ridiculous thing to say, bearing in mind he gave the penalty away, but Kieran Trippier is therefore very lucky, isn't he?
Well, I mean, my reading of it was a clear pullback inside the box. I mean, he's just going to tap it in, isn't he, Rafinha? I mean, you can argue how much contact, but the fact that he pulled him back, I mean, I think that's a red card offence. So I was really surprised. It's really good news for Newcastle that they've, Trippier has stayed on. Of course, Yamal scored the penalty, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, well, I guess what we'd say is, some of the finest officiating minds in Europe were talking about that, and that's obviously what the delay was. Is it a red card or is it not a red card? In the end, they decided not. I'd love to know the explanation.
So, I would as well. If Elanga had won that penalty, would that? I know you tried to compare them, Chris. Was that slightly softer?
Well, the way I viewed it was Elanga. Blistering pace, gets the other side of Cancelo. Now, even if it's accidental contact, and I think John said that in commentary, it was accidental. It doesn't matter. He's brought him down. He was inside the box. So, I mean, I wonder whether Elanga tripped himself. I mean, I'd love to see it again, but there was certainly a tangle of legs. And if that's the case and he was clipped, then, why was a penalty not awarded? And the referee, wasn't even ushered towards the monitor. So I'm sure Eddie Howe will talk about that after the game, because that's a huge moment for Newcastle to get back in the game twice, and then that opportunity, for a penalty to be awarded. I'd be feeling a little bit hard done by if I'm Eddie Howe.
5 goals, end-to-end, controversial decisions, and you still got a mention for Heidi High in there, John. Well done.
I know you'd love that. That was for you. It's like you're
my own personal request.
It's like a dedication for you.
John Murray, Chris Sutton, second half from the Camp Nou on the way. And then later on, full commentary from Anfield. Liverpool against Galatasaray. We'll have plenty of updates from Spurs against Atletico Madrid as well. We'll talk both games after the news with Bethan Holmes.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
An urgent public health alert has been issued by the UK Health Security Agency following the meningitis B outbreak in Kent. It means all doctors are being told to look out for people with symptoms so any more cases can be identified and treated. Our health correspondent is Nick Triggle.
It doesn't mean that there's a big likelihood of the outbreak spreading out of Kent. Meningitis doesn't spread super easily. The Health Secretary this morning said he believes there's a low risk of kind of it spreading nationwide. This is not another COVID.
Well, 20 people have now been diagnosed with meningitis in the outbreak linked to a nightclub in Canterbury. 2 people have died. The University of Kent has been giving out vaccines to students living on campus. Elsewhere, Israel struck the world's largest natural gas field in Iran. The site's shared by both Iran and Qatar. Here's BBC Persian's Paham Gabadi.
It's Iran's economic lifeline and gas production. So if it is damaged, that means it can have really huge economic repercussions for Iran, but also on global market. The gas prices can go up. But another impact it can have is the level of escalation, because Iran has already threatened that it will go into retaliate by targeting oil facilities in 3 different countries.
Well, oil prices have gone up by more than $108 a barrel following the attack, which is an increase of 5% on yesterday. A 16-year-old girl has died after a car crashed into a river in Wisbech in Cambridgeshire yesterday evening. Her body's been recovered this afternoon. A teenage boy remains missing. 3 others are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. In Switzerland, 1 person's died after a cable car crashed at a resort in Engelberg. It happened during strong winds. Tube strikes have been called off next week after progress in talks about working hours. Further walkouts by RMT members next month will still go ahead. And the UK has recorded its warmest day of the year so far. It reached 20.9 degrees near Aberystwyth. Well, let's get the travel now with Sarah Elliott.
Thank you, Beth Ann. We've got a closure in Cumbria, and it's the main route between Penrith and Alston, the section just north of Langwathby. Following an accident earlier on this afternoon, we understand it's still closed. As you travel Merseyside towards Formby on the A565 Scaffold Lane, there's been an accident. 3 vehicles in this one you can get past, but it's at least an extra 15 minutes there just away from Crosby. The M42 near Birmingham, slow on the northbound side, coming up to junction 9 for Coleshill, where there's a breakdown. The M3 is congested at the junction 3, Lightwater, approaching the M25. Because of an accident here, recovery's there, but it's mainly backed up on the A322 Bagshot, trying to get onto the motorway. Delays out of London, the A13 Alfred's Way in the Barking area, an extra 15 minutes because of an earlier accident. The other way, heading towards Northolt, we've got queues here. This is actually a police cordon just before the Medway underpass, so on the A40 Western Avenue and Somerset. On the M5 South, coming up towards Burnham-on-Sea at junction 22, broken down vehicle up the side of the carriageway though, so getting past fairly easily right now. Sarah Elliott, 5 Live Travel.
Coming up this weekend on 5 Live Sports.
The EFL Cup Final, live from Wembley. Arsenal take on Manchester City.
There is a lot of new blood, so it will be amazing if we can win our first silverware for the guys who are new here.
Sunday from 4:30.
5 Live Sports. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports, the Champions League with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Second half on the way from Barcelona, where the home side lead Newcastle 3-2, 4-3 on aggregate. And then once that is over, we'll be at Anfield. Liverpool against Galatasaray, with the Turkish side 1-0 up from that first leg. Former England goalkeeper Paul Robinson alongside Ian Dennis, who has the team news.
Yes, I do. Good evening, Mark. 4 changes that Arne Slot has made for Liverpool. Konate returns to the centre of defence to replace Gomez. Kirkes will play instead of Robertson at left-back. And Salah and Ekitike return to the front line at the expense of Gakpo and Ungamoa. So you've got Alisson in goal, Frimpong, Van Dijk. You've then got Konate and Kirkes, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, Wirtz, Salah and Ekitike. As for Galatasaray, they have made 2 changes from last week's first leg. Sanchez is suspended, so Bowie comes into their defence, and Sholoi starts instead of Lang.
Paul, they need a special Anfield night here, don't they? I know they've overcome bigger deficits than the one they're facing here, but the supporters were disenchanted at times against Spurs on Sunday. They don't need that tonight.
No, do you know what, Mark? Coming to the stadium for the first time in a long time on a European evening for Liverpool, the supporters are quite apprehensive. They're not actually quite sure what they're going to see. I mean, normally Liverpool come in here with a 1-0 deficit to overturn against an inferior opponent as such as Galatasaray. There'd be expectation and almost a thought that, look, let's look forward to getting through to the quarter-final. But actually, after the performance at the weekend against Tottenham, the up-and-down season that they've had, they're not actually sure what type of performance that they're going to see from their side tonight.
Right, back with you a little bit later on. If they're apprehensive at Anfield, goodness only knows what they're like at Tottenham this evening. Chris Coles and Andy Reid there. Chris, team news?
Well, 4 changes for Spurs from that creditable draw against Liverpool in the Premier League. Simons, Romero, Van de Ven and Kolo Muani come in. Danzo, Sousa, Richarlison and Solanke are out. Now, Richarlison is suspended. Solanke did have a small problem according to Igor Tudor. Danzo out for Van de Ven and Sousa's ineligible to play in the Champions League. So Spurs have gone as strong as they possibly can with that huge game against Forest on Sunday to take into account, but quite simply Igor Tudor has very little room for manoeuvre, so it is a strong Tottenham side. Atletico Madrid make a couple of changes. Juan Musso plays in goal. Jan Oblak injured, the influential Atleti goalkeeper doesn't play, so that might be a plus for Spurs, and Molina replaces Pubil at the back, so a couple of Atletico Madrid changes and 4 for Spurs.
I suppose, Andy, he may not have had much wriggle room anyhow because of injuries and so on and so forth in his team selection. But he also needs to keep some kind of momentum, doesn't he, from the point at Anfield, psychologically more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he's obviously thinking about his job as well. He needs to try and keep himself in the job because there's been a lot of speculation around that, and coming so quickly after him being appointed, it's crazy to say that, but there's a lot of pressure on at the moment. I think these fans, they use what they want to see is good football, and what they want to see is the team playing free-flowing football. But I think at this moment in the position they're in, they just want to see this team putting up a bit of a fight. And to be fair to them, they did do that to a certain extent at Anfield on Sunday, and they'll want to see a lot more tonight.
Thank you both. We will keep you updated on that throughout the course of the evening here on 5 Live, and we'll have commentary from Anfield of Liverpool against Galatasaray. The other tie in the Champions League tonight, Bayern Munich against Atalanta. The Germans 6-1 up from the first leg. In the Championship tonight, Southampton are 3 points off the playoff positions, and they're taking on Norwich. Sahel side.
Yeah, so much at stake for both clubs. It's an intriguing evening ahead. Southampton, they're flying, 10 unbeaten in the league, and an FA Cup quarter-final to look forward to. Norwich, 4 straight wins and 30 points gained from a possible 39 since New Year's Day. Southampton win this evening and they'll move above Wrexham into the top 6, while Norwich, with 3 points and that final position in the playoffs, will start to become a real prospect.
Thank you, Sahel. Game in League 2 tonight. MK Dons, currently second in the table, 5 points off the leaders, are at home to Colchester. Paul Gilmore.
It's some run, Mark. Almost 6 months since MK Dons last lost a league game here, and it's been a major driver in their push for promotion. They're unbeaten in 13 since the 1st of January, when tonight's opponents Colchester beat them. Paul Warren's side have scored 11 in their last 3, including 5 at Gillingham, a performance Colchester boss Danny Cowley called the best by any side in the division this season. For Colchester, it's a big week if they're to keep their playoff hopes alive, with leaders Bromley next, and Jack Payne returns to his former club as League 2's Player of the Month, having scored the winner in that reverse fixture, although he starts on the bench tonight. Frankie Terry and Finlay Barbrook come into the side. No Teddy Bishop at all, while MK Dons are unchanged from the win at Swindon.
Thank you, Paul. 2 games in the WSL this evening. Chelsea are taking on Brighton. That's the 7 o'clock kickoff, and you can listen to it on Sports Extra 2. Manchester United are taking on West Ham. That's a little bit of a later kickoff. Charlotte Richardson.
After losing to Chelsea in Sunday's League Cup final, Manchester United will not want to surrender second place to the Blues within the same week. Down the bottom, West Ham hover 2 points above relegation. This is the first league contest the Hammers have played in over a month. Ready and raring, the hosts make 3 changes, amongst them a start for Shakira Martinez, the centre-forward capable of terrorising any WSL defence on her day. 3 also for United, Fridolina Rolfo and Millie Turner start. And a league debut for Leah Schuler, a prolific goal scorer in the Bundesliga, looking to make a good first impression in East London.
Thank you very much. So Liverpool Galatasaray from 8 o'clock. Before then, we've got plenty more to enjoy from the Camp Nou. Barcelona 3-2 up at the break, 4-3 up on aggregate. Who knows what's going to happen during this 45 minutes. Back to Chris and John.
Yes, welcome back to the Mediterranean. Although to add to the rather bizarre feel of the whole evening, interesting to hear that on the news at half-time, it's been the warmest day of the year back home, but we're by the Mediterranean, and this is chilling here, this cold wind. And we've still been discussing about why it is that Kieran Trippier was not sent off at the end of the first half in the conceding of the penalty. And what Eddie Howe's doing here at the start of the second half, well, he's substituting him. Trippier's off, having received a yellow card, and Tino Livramento coming on, Chris.
Yeah, not sent off, but taken off. I think sensibly by Eddie Howe, obviously on that yellow card. We actually spoke in the first half about that debate. Should Livramento have started the game? I think defensively Newcastle are better off with Livramento at right back in those 1v1 situations. So Eddie Howe made the change, and Livramento will have his work cut out now trying to stop Rafinha, who's such an intelligent player. He always was, but likes to be out on that left-hand side, but then drift, doesn't he?
Well, the black and white stripes were out early and are in position, ready for the start of the second half. The blue and red stripes of Barcelona are now in their huddle, where it should be, in the middle of the half. Not on the centre spot, as you witnessed at Stamford Bridge at the weekend. Been plenty said about that. And this wind is really whipping around the building site that is the Nou Camp. Barcelona 3, Newcastle 2. Barcelona will kick off the second half. Fermin Lopez is over the ball and he plays it back to Bernal and all the way back to Garcia. So Barcelona with Joan Garcia, the goalkeeper. Substitute Araujo at right back. He came on for Eric Garcia during the first half. Then Kubasi and Martin, the central defenders. Cancelo at left back, the on-loan man from Saudi Arabia, from Al Hilal, came back to the club in January. Then Bernal and Pedri in midfield with Fermin Lopez. Lamine Yamal on the right, Rafinha on the left, and Robert Lewandowski through the middle. Ball's out for a throw into Barcelona on the halfway line. Newcastle with Ramsdale in goal. Now Livramento, the substitute at right back. Chow, Byrne and Hall, who's been excellent coming forward. Tonali with Ramsey and Joelinton. And then Tugo Lalanga and Barnes either side of Anthony Gordon through the middle, who could easily have scored as well. Anthony Gordon perhaps should have scored.
He should have scored. Lalanga, good work on the right-hand side in that first half. He's been on the periphery, hasn't he, Anthony Gordon, but I'll always try and stretch and run those Barcelona centre-backs.
So in the second half, Barcelona are attacking from right to left as we look at it, and here is Rafinha, who throws himself down in the middle of the Newcastle half. Referee Letessier is not having anything of that. Pedri back to Fermin Lopez, who's on the left-hand side, right-footed ball in, that's headed down and away by Chow to Joelinton, his teammate on the edge of the box, and Newcastle are playing it away. Here's Livramento into the action for the first time. Ball's passed forward by Chow, but Barcelona have got it back. He actually passed it straight into a Barcelona player. So if you weren't listening in the first half, Barcelona ahead 3 times through Rafinha, Marc Bernal, and then Lamine Yamal in the 7th minute of added time at the end of the first half it was, before he scored. So scoring in the 6th minute of added time at the end of the first leg, and his penalty here tonight in the 7th minute of added time at the end of the first half. 2 goals for Anthony Elanga, but it's been incident-packed, thrill-packed. We felt that Newcastle could easily have had a penalty which would have given them the chance to go 3-2 up, but as it is, with this scoreline, Barcelona will be heading through to the quarterfinals and Newcastle will be going out 4-3 on aggregate. Hall again, brilliant play on the halfway line, then plays it infield looking for Elanga, and then it's kicked back to goalkeeper Garcia by Kubasi, who passes it out to Joao Cancelo. Commentary to come from Anfield. We heard from Ian Dennis and Paul Robinson at half-time. That could be a tense night, couldn't it? As opposed to this, which could have, who knows how many more goals in this one.
Yeah, you feel that the way Liverpool have performed this season, a bit of pressure on the slot to bring that faith back in from Liverpool fans. But yes, interesting night this for the Premier League clubs and the Champions League.
Certainly is. And then commentary on the Aston Villa match tomorrow night, so join us for that. But Barcelona in possession, yet to see the first goal of the second half, as Pedri plays it back down into the full-back position. Pedri's actually moved out to the right. Now they're coming forward, Barcelona. Araujo, he's able to get the ball out from underneath his feet. Fermin Lopez down the right wing. Rafinha and Lewandowski in the middle. Then back to Araujo. Araujo's ball across. That's bounced to Rafinha in the box. Rafinha shoots from the angle, and Ramsdale's able to go down and make the save. It was close enough to him. The shot from an angle on the right side of the penalty area. The Newcastle goalkeeper parried it back out, and they were able to scrape it away. Pedri Then back to Fermin Lopez, who is so mobile, isn't he? Fermin Lopez. Now Lamine Yamal, he's causing problems. Oh, he beat tall, right-footed cross to the back post. Rafinha couldn't get the head on it, and it's hooked away by Elanga. Barcelona have pressed on the accelerator here. João Cancelo, forward to Lewandowski, in the box on the left. Lewandowski's ball across. Rafinha misses his kick on the edge of the D, and it just hits him and bounces through to Ramsdale.
Yeah, it's a good start to the second half for Barcelona. You feel the longer this game goes, I mean, Barcelona only know one way to play. They'll probably have more control than they did in that first half, but there will be opportunities for Newcastle.
Yes, just my eye caught by a pigeon in the floodlights. They do love a pigeon in Barcelona. Throw in over there on the far side, back to the halfway line, and Barcelona start again from inside their own half. The new camp taking shape bit by bit, although it's not going to be till the end of the 26-27 season that it will finally be completed. And it's an incredible feat of engineering to come here and walk into what, as we have said, is a building site, a stadium being constructed while they play in it. Here is Livramento, who does well. Tonali is able to take the ball out towards the left-hand side. Still going. Sandro Tonali. He'll be involved in the World Cup playoff against Northern Ireland. Hall's involved again inside the box. Barnes as well. Hall is forced by Araujo to take it back out to the far side. Then he's challenged, and Barcelona have got it back with Pedri. The rhythm is being beaten out by the Barcelona fans behind the goal, looking down at them now. The ultras clapping their hands above their heads. There's a drum in there as well, as you can probably hear. And Barcelona with the ball in their defensive third. 5 minutes played of the second half. Barcelona edging it. 5 goals on the night. 3-2 to Hansi Flick's team, the Spanish champions and league leaders this season. Ball is flicked forward by Rafinha. Fermin Lopez is in, edge of the area, scores the 4th goal on the night for Barcelona, and for the first time now the Spanish champions have a 2-goal advantage in the tie. Newcastle carved open, and Fermin Lopez with his right foot did the rest, past Ramsdale. 4-2 on the night, 5-3 on aggregate.
Yeah, and you feel it's a long way back for Newcastle now. Gotta say, Rafinha, wonderful pass. Mentioned he drifts off that left-hand side into a central area. The ball played it from the left-back position up to Rafinha. Fermin Lopez makes the run forward. Ball round the corner from Rafinha. One-on-one. Fermin Lopez has a little look at Ramsdale and his positioning. Slides the ball to Ramsdale's left, lifts it over him into the far corner, right-footed into the side netting. It's a cool finish, a really composed finish. You mentioned the start for Barcelona to this second half. Newcastle have got it all to do. Wonderful play, wonderful finish.
Listen to this. This is the sound of the new Nou Camp. Jubilation. Well, now the odds are short indeed on Barcelona winning through to the quarterfinals yet again for the 25th time in this competition. Most likely to play Atletico Madrid unless Tottenham can do something remarkable tonight. And they might yet add more. Fermin Lopez again into the area. Tonali back with the challenge. The referee was right there. Excellent officiating. He was 5 yards away, even though it was a counter-attack. And he says Tonali's challenge was good. It's a corner to Barcelona.
He hurt himself making the challenge. Tonali. Bit of burst of pace there from Fermin Lopez on that right-hand side. You mentioned Eddie Howe's tactics, going toe-to-toe, pressing Barcelona high, but a driving run, and Tonali, to his credit, gets back. He's still down, worryingly, for Newcastle United physio running on now.
Well, he's clutching his left thigh, his left hip, possibly the way that he went down. Maybe they collided together as he clattered down onto the turf behind the goal. The 3,000 Newcastle fans are at that end of the stadium, high up in the top of what is the second tier. Third tier is just empty concrete steps. It is concrete terraces, no seats in there yet. And the Newcastle fans watching down. This is a concern. Sunderland at St James's Park on Sunday. That speaks for itself. Sunderland, who don't have a match this midweek, they'll want this to go as hard and as tough for Newcastle as possible. And for Tonali, I mean, they can scarcely afford to lose him. Obviously, no Bruno Guimaraes, who's such an important player. No Lewis Miley either. You know, for Newcastle to come here without those two and potentially to lose, yeah, it does look as though they're going to make a change. I think it's Joe Willock who's been prepared, who himself was a doubt for this match.
Yeah, he had a good game at the weekend against Chelsea. Joe Willock, and that's a worry. I think Tonali, when he gets back and he just gets a run on Fermin Lopez eventually and pokes the ball out for a corner for Barcelona, there's a bit of a follow-through from Fermin Lopez, who's trying to get across it, and hopefully for Newcastle, I'm not a medical expert, as you well know, John, that's more of a bang and a collision rather than a pull for Sandro Tonali.
So that is it. I think it's questionable, I think, whether Tonali would have been able to see this through anyway, having missed a lot of training because of illness. So he's off, and Willock comes on. Corner to Barcelona, in it comes, and he's headed in! It's Lewandowski! He's in on the act now! It's a fifth goal on the night! And Newcastle, you would think, cannot come back from this. Here in the Nou Camp, where Barcelona have won every match since they returned here in November. It's now 5-2, 6-3 on aggregate. A 3-goal lead surely has to be too much for Newcastle.
And it's the man in the mask, Lewandowski. Got to say, my instinct says that he heads it in from a couple of yards. Should Ramsdale have done better in the Newcastle goal? You can talk about the wicked ball in from Rafinha, left-footed, and Ramsdale he takes his eye off the ball. It goes through to the far post. I think Ramsdale should come for that. He doesn't do. And Lewandowski gets above Livramento at the back post. He still has that instinct, that goal scorer's instinct. I actually think in some ways you could argue he holds this Barcelona team back in terms of his lack of movement and lack of dynamism, but still nicks a goal or two, John.
He certainly does. Lewandowski at 37 years old. That's his 15th goal of the season, and that probably has put it beyond Newcastle. So 2 goals in the space of 4 minutes in the first period of the second half looks to have taken it away from Newcastle, and it's 5-2 on the night. And strangely enough, I was talking to our colleagues who are sitting commentating to us just to our left here. It's Newcastle. Livramento plays it forward. It might reach Gordon, but Kubasi was there. Ooh, clearance from goalkeeper Garcia. That could have gone anywhere. He could easily have kicked that to Elanga. Now Willock wins it back. No free kick. Pedri can't believe it. Joe Linton out to the left-hand side. Newcastle, a goal back immediately would certainly help. Hall into the box, cuts it back and hits the sliding defender, Bernal, and Barcelona are able to scrape it away. Newcastle coming again. This is great spirit from them, but they have to. They've got no alternative. Hall's ball in. Barnes got a touch on it but couldn't bring it down, and Barcelona clear again. And still Newcastle, despite these goals, despite the setbacks, they're still pouring forward looking for more.
Yeah, and on that left hand side they've looked really dangerous. That link up from Hall and Barnes. I thought Hall had time to pick out a better cross, and that was blocked the first one.
Then Willock is penalised this time for a foul on Pedri, and the Barcelona supporters all around the now 2 tiers on their feet. They've got their flags, either the blue and red or the yellow and red stripes of Catalonia, and they are being waved with gusto. The songs coming from everywhere in this stadium, not just in the end behind the goal. They've got their sights on a place in the quarter-finals. Newcastle have to drop back into their own half. Barcelona have got the ball. So 5-2 on the night, 6-3 on aggregate. And Pedri turns and is pulled back by Willock, and that's going to be a yellow card for the Newcastle substitute for that.
Pedri on the periphery in that first half for Barcelona. Lovely bit of skill though, just feeling Joe Willock coming in behind him and rolls him beautifully, little drag in the right boot, and Willock drags Pedri back, and now they can dictate, Pedri can dictate from in the middle of the park for Barcelona.
Yeah, if you remember, he was excellent at St James's Park in the first match in the league phase for these sides, when De Jong and Pedri and Rashford scored those 2 goals. Might see him coming on as a substitute, as Holt as well puts in a good challenge on Lamine Yamal. Then he takes the ball away, but Fermin Lopez is putting him under pressure, and Hall has to pass it back into the feet of Byrne, who's able to work it away. When you see some of these Barcelona players who will be playing for Spain at the World Cup in the summer, whether it's Pedri or Fermin Lopez or Lamine Yamal, with all of the other talent that you've got, I have to say personally, I consider them to be the favourites. And when you see these Spanish players, Lamine Yamal playing it through to Lewandowski, and Lewandowski with his right foot buries it past Ramsdale. Chow couldn't cut it out, and Lewandowski bearing down on Ramsdale set himself, right foot, bang, 6 for Barcelona, and Newcastle heading out now. I don't think there's any doubt.
Poleaxed. That's what happened to Newcastle. Brilliant weight of pass, wasn't it? And Lewandowski doesn't have great pace, but the ball waited, laid on a plate. He took his time. The one thing he is, Lewandowski, he is lethal, and he takes his time, eyes up where he wants to put it, and then lashes the ball past Ramsdale. And the Newcastle goal to Ramsdale's right just goes for power, but Lamine Yamal, wonderful pass. Chow, his defending should be better, but Lewandowski with time just to weigh his options up of where he wants to finish, has 1 look, 2 looks, 3 looks, and then walloped past Ramsdale into the far corner, wraps his foot round the ball. Power, precision, 6-2 is good night for Newcastle.
6-2, so that is 7-3 on aggregate to the Spanish champions, and Newcastle are going to be beaten. And that the penalty before half-time, absolutely crucial. That was pivotal, really. That turned it. The goal just before the break, so Barcelona ahead for the 3rd time in the match, just before half-time. And they've come out, Chris, in the second half, and they've just gone bang, 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 walloped. 3 goals in, 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. And Lewandowski himself scoring 2 in 5.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 6-2, and we still have the best part of 30 minutes left. This could be really ugly and really humiliating for Newcastle, who are still going toe-to-toe, aren't they?
Well, they haven't got any choice. That's what they have to do. Can't give it up, as Lewandowski is fouled. Just had his foot stepped on by Joe Linton, who is on a yellow card.
I know you say they haven't got any choice, but when does that sort of mindset change? If it goes to 7 and then 8,
probably about 7.
7. Okay.
Right, changes being made. Jacob Murphy and Sven Botman are going to come on, and Elanga is the first to leave the field. So 2-goal Elanga in the Nou Camp, but it looks as though it's going to be in a losing cause. And Joe Linton as well, who, as we said, is on the yellow card. I think that's probably part of it. And also Eddie Howe probably now thinking about Sunderland on Sunday lunchtime.
Yeah, and his Botman going on, he's gone to 3 centre-halves, hasn't he? I think now shutting up shop. It'll be a 5-4-1. Yeah, a bit of an admission. And if Newcastle get the next goal, I mean, they're not going to come back into this now.
Well, Chris, it's been fun while it lasted, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been. And that first half performance from Newcastle, I'll still go back to that Alanga. The possibility of a penalty towards him. I mean, Eddie Howe, if he's asked after the game, if you lose 6-7-2 or whatever, then that might seem insignificant, but that was a big moment in the game.
And Barcelona likewise, Hansi Flick's going to make a triple change. Dani Olmo is going to come on. Ferran Torres as well, another former Manchester City man. And also coming on will be... Oh, just work that out, shall we? I think that might be the number 42. Yes, it is. It's Xavi Espart, the 18-year-old. Well, he can either play right back or defensive midfield. Another teenager, another product of the academy, Xavi Espart, who's just made a couple of appearances for this Barcelona side. So he's going to come on for another taste of the big time. And with this lead, 6-2, 7-3 on aggregate, what a good time for Hansi Flick to do that. Barcelona with the ball in their own defensive third. And here's a pass forward for Fermin Lopez again, who gets away from Byrne. And now Fermin Lopez back across, but couldn't find the pass past Chow. Otherwise, Barcelona could have been in for number 7 there easily. Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, they were both free on the edge of the box.
Yeah, and unlike Fermin Lopez to miss that pass, you're right, 3v2. Opportunity wasted, but here come the subs.
Yeah, Lewandowski's off, so there'll be no hat-trick for him tonight either. Joao Cancelo, and the other player coming off is Fermin Lopez as well. Hasn't he played well tonight?
Yeah, just in that position behind Lewandowski, who's taking the applause as well. But Fermin Lopez, some of his awareness, his runs, his passing, what a talent he is. Young talent coming off and an old talent coming off in Lewandowski.
So Ferran Torres, number 7, the former Manchester City man, Spanish international. He's taking up a position through the middle, with either side in between Rafinha to his left and Lamine Yamal to the right. As the deafeningly loud public address system here, I think they've bought a new one of those as well for their £1 billion stadium. Just runs through all of the various substitutions. And we've got still over a quarter of the match to play. And I think you're right, Chris. I think those changes with Sven Botman to come on and play in between Chow and Byrne is just really to see that this doesn't get out of hand. Barcelona with Rafinha takes this in, and it's over the top of Araujo, who's arriving but couldn't get a contact on it. It's out of play for a throw-in to Newcastle in their own left-back position. So they've never gone as far in this competition, never had as many matches, obviously, in the new format of this competition. And it does look as though for Newcastle now, after their recent results in the Premier League, there is a chance for them. That's the target, isn't it? Certainly European football, and then to see whether they might be able to force their way into the top 5. It'd be a big task.
That is a big task. I think I was looking at the league table. Last time I looked at the league table, I thought Newcastle possibility of 7th, maybe.
They're 7 points off 5th.
Yeah, that's a stretch, but they are capable, aren't they, of going on a run. The talent that they have. It's been an inconsistent season for Eddie Howe's team in the Premier League. Their away form especially has been pretty wretched, but having said that, they beat Chelsea at the weekend.
They did, and they're the only team to have beaten Michael Carrick's Manchester United,
and that was with 10
when Osula scored that fantastic late goal. Pedri's pass through the middle looking for Dani Olmo. It's just beyond him. Dani Olmo, another one from the Spanish setup, just couldn't get a touch on that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stinker, isn't it, if you're a Newcastle player, seeing the likes of Ferran Torres coming on and Dani Olmo too. Talent.
Now the ball played to Rafinha on the edge of the box. Rafinha trying to give it back to Dani Olmo. this is alarm bells time for Newcastle now, looking a little dispirited suddenly. And Barcelona, the danger here is that Barcelona have got their tails up. They've made the changes, and those who've come on, not seen Rashford yet either. I bet he's itching to get into the action. Olmo through, now the chance from Ferran Torres, but that shot was blocked as Chow came across, almost on his right foot, hit it well enough. Chow just was able to get across. And Barcelona again, Lamine Yamal, brilliant pass. Here's the cross over everyone. Livramento chases after it. It's reached Gerard Martin, who's now moved across actually to the left side of the defence, which is where he played actually at St James's Park, Gerard Martin, in the opening match in the league phase. Dani Olmo turning on the edge of the area, but Ramsey was able to put the challenge in for Newcastle, and then Livramento is fouled. And we've got 20 minutes to play here in the new camp on this chilly but dry night with the wind swirling around. Not sure if rain was forecast, was it?
Yeah. Well, there was one member of the team who thought it was going to rain. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, although I think with this wind, if it did rain, those rain clouds would be off sharpish, off into the Mediterranean. Looked fabulous yesterday, didn't it, the Mediterranean? Were you sitting out next to the window, Chris, on the way over? Did you manage to get a sight of it?
I was in the middle seat.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, unlucky. It looked fantastic.
Good for you.
Here's Olmo passing the ball forward. Chow chasing, but Ramsdale comes out and clears it downfield. They say 10,000 Newcastle fans are here in Barcelona, even though only 3,000 can get into the match. I think they might be drowning their sorrows, the 7,000. Olmo, back to Rafinha. Rafinha into the box against Livramento, crosses, deflected, chested down by Burns. Somebody shouts for handball to our left. I think it was our friends from Flashback Radio to our left. He actually said, my new friend from Flashback, when I was speaking to him before the game, I said, what do you think? And he said, I think 5-2 Barcelona.
Hey. Well, he could be miles out.
He could, yeah. At the moment, he's 1 goal out. 6-2. I was just checking, actually, to see if that was the score. What a turn of events in the Champions League. If you think of the last round, when we went to Baku, all the way to Azerbaijan, and watched Newcastle win 6-1 there. Now here they are in Barcelona in the following round, losing themselves to 6. With Rafinha, Bernal, Lamine Yamal with that penalty, Fermin Lopez, and 2 goals from Lewandowski, who incidentally now has 109 goals in the Champions League. Lewandowski at 37 years old, who's now been substituted off, one of only 3 men to have scored more than 100 goals in the European Cup / Champions League. Oh, that's given away by Ramsey. Oh, Rafinha, you can't do that. Rafinha plants it past Ramsdale. It's another one. It's number 7 on the night for Barcelona. And this is becoming an absolute thrashing for Eddie Howe and his team. They went toe-to-toe. Now Barcelona are putting them away. 7-2 on the night, 8-3 on aggregate.
Yeah, it's dreadful from Ramsey. He plays a blind pass, ball comes into him, and he's trying to play a pass back to goal from the left-hand side of the pitch to the right-hand side, and just pops it into Rafinha's path all alone inside the box. Rafinha, it's a comfortable finish, you don't expect him to miss. And the boys from Barcelona are giving Newcastle one hell of a beating. And your friend from Flashback Radio clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, John. It's a lovely finish, right-footed from Rafinha into the far corner. Lovely cushion first touch with his left foot, but a player of his quality isn't going to miss that opportunity. And this is going to be a long 17, 18 minutes for Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle have really... I mean, they've collapsed, really. Barcelona have come at them. Second half, they've now scored 4 goals in the first half of the second half, if you like. And Newcastle, they're shot, aren't they? They are shot. They've made mistakes. You know, the way Chow was beaten for the Lewandowski goal, wasn't able to cut out the pass. Ramsey there giving it away. You can't give it away to Rafinha in the penalty area, in the middle of the goal. Rafinha scored a hat-trick on Sunday. Now he's got 2 goals in this match. Rafinha, who was the joint top scorer in the Champions League last season, that takes him to 19 for this campaign, the former Leeds United man. Not sure, did you think he had this in him when he was playing for Leeds United, when he was excellent playing for Leeds?
Yeah, and he was a lot younger, wasn't he? I mean, his game has come on leaps and bounds. I mean, he looks fit, skillful, hungry. I mean, looking at this Barcelona team, I mean, as silly as this may sound, John, and I say a lot of silly things, I think defensively they still look like they have their vulnerabilities, and I know Lewandowski has scored 2, and you'll say, you'll bring up his amazing record in the Champions League, but at 37 you think, when it gets to the next round, semi-finals, final, can you win it with a player without that sort of athleticism which he doesn't have anymore?
So 7-2. I mean, what a first half we had. Barcelona went, well, what's the scoring sequence? 1-0 Barcelona, then 1-1, 2-1 Barcelona, then 2-2. We then had the incident where Newcastle had a case for a penalty when Cancelo seemed to trip Elanga inside the box. VAR had a look, didn't refer the referee, and then Barcelona got a penalty of their own at the end of the first half. That was 3-2, and then in the second half it's gone 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, and Newcastle are going to join Manchester City and Chelsea as the third English casualty in the Champions League this midweek in the round of 16. It's going to be left to, well, Arsenal are through. They've safely got their tie against Sporting after their incredible comeback against Buda Glimt last night in Lisbon. So Arsenal against Sporting, but tonight it's down to Liverpool and whether Tottenham can do anything.
And I suppose the problem is for Newcastle now is this is the Barcelona team who at 7, John, clearly aren't stopping.
Newcastle, Livramento, Jacob Murphy with the ball across the penalty area, and Barcelona clear through young Espart, that the whistle's gone and it's a free kick to Barcelona for offside. This, you probably won't be surprised to hear that this is currently a record defeat in terms of the scoreline for Newcastle in Europe. Their previous record defeat was by a 3-goal margin, so this certainly beats that. They lost 3-0 in Monaco in the UEFA Cup in 96-97, and also lost 4-1 to Sporting in Lisbon in the UEFA Cup in 2004-2005. I think I was at that match actually, as the ball is played through now. Ferran Torres is in an offside position, but play does continue. Ferran Torres looks to cross it, deflected across the penalty area, and now finally the offside flag.
Well, come on, the assistant on that far side. I mean, he'd really gone early there, Ferran Torres. That forward run, and that is infuriating.
Yes, I'm not sure if that's Cyril Mounier or Mehdi Ramouni, but I think they are the 2 assistants tonight. But if it is Cyril, he could have gone a little earlier, couldn't he?
Yeah, that wasn't a nice one from Cyril.
It wasn't. Barcelona leading by 7 goals to 2.
And with their change, John, Newcastle, going to the 3 centre halves. That was Eddie Howe saying, getting the old white flag up and saying, that's us. We've given it a go. We're just going to try and keep the score down. The problem is Barcelona put on Olmo, Ferran Torres, 2 brilliant technical players who were looking hungry, probably angry there on the bench, and want to come on and make an impact.
And Barcelona are in the process of making it 13 wins out of 13 since they returned to the Nou Camp in November. And I mean, they've had a field day virtually every time they've played here since returning. The 2 matches that are being played this evening in the WSL are underway. There's actually commentary on Chelsea-Brighton on Sports Extra 2 on your BBC Sounds app. That is already 1-1, and it's West Ham 0, Manchester United 0 in the early stages. after a 7:15 kickoff there. We'll keep you across Southampton, Norwich a little later on this evening, but commentary from Anfield with Ian Dennis and Paul Robinson, and we will, as Pedri plays it through, Barcelona in again, Ramsdale makes the save from Lamine Yamal, clearly in there, edge of the 6-yard box, slight angle, but shot straight at Ramsdale.
Yeah, another big chance, good save from Ramsdale.
Gordon passing it forward to Barnes, Newcastle coming forward, Barnes is going to hit the shot from the edge of the area, but actually it was saved by Garcia, and in any case the offside flag was up.
You know the Yamal chance, and when Pedri gets on the half turn, I'm thinking there's no way he could play that pass in between Dan Burn and Lewis Hall on that left-hand side of the defence for Newcastle. There wasn't the space. Newcastle were too deep, but there was the space for Pedri, perfectly weighted, and Yamal coming inside on his left foot. You're thinking, well, that's 8, but good goalkeeping there from Ramsdale.
10 minutes left, close added time of Newcastle's European season.
He's not done a lot.
What's happened?
Garcia,
Garcia's ended up sitting down in the day on the edge of the penalty area. And
holding his calf. He's barely done anything.
And all of his teammates have turned and set off and run to see how he is, as Newcastle are going to make this is change number 1, 2, 3, 4. This is change number 5, and I think it's going to be Anthony Gordon who is going to be replaced again, probably with Sunderland in mind, and Will Osula is going to come on for the remainder of Newcastle's European campaign for 2025-26.
He dives really awkwardly, Garcia, to make that save for Barcelona. It actually looks like his dive is a type of dive who looks like somebody who's never played in goal before. It's like it bounces before him and he dives to his left-hand side, very awkward, and he's obviously injured himself.
Well, they've had problems with injuries in the goalkeeping department. This is not Joan Garcia's first injury of the season. He had a knee injury and missed a couple of months. Now he's leaving the field. Ter Stegen is very much on the injured list at the moment with a knee problem. So it's the third choice, our old favourite, Wojciech Szczesny, the former Arsenal and Brentford goalkeeper, who's going to come on. 36 next month, and this is his 10th appearance of the season. And they do tell me that he didn't cover himself with glory in the little spell that he had when he had to play earlier. However, he's getting a great welcome, Szczesny. Superb career. He's already retired once when he was at Juventus, and he might find himself in a Champions League quarter-final if Garcia's injury is serious.
Yeah, he's had a good career and has got that experience. Just doing a couple of stretches there. Szczesny touching his toes, as you do as you get older, John. You have to keep that flexibility. But they're just dictating the play now, aren't they, Barcelona? Dictating the pace of the game.
Yes, he probably does his Pilates, Chris.
Yeah, well, that's important, John. I've started that.
Have you?
Yeah, we looked a bit stiff there.
He did look a bit, as Szczesny has to pass it out into the full-back position. Newcastle are pressing like mad, even though they are 7-2 down on the night. So 8-3 on aggregate. And, it's the size of the scorelines, isn't it, as much as anything else, that Chelsea and Manchester City, who I thought were brilliant last night, actually, the way that they played. The scoreline didn't really tell the full story of how they played with 10 men last night.
No.
But, this is an absolute hammering.
It is, and yet for a game and a half, Newcastle have sort of been well in it, but I suppose that's not enough at this level, is it?
Nope. And there'll be further questions, won't there, depending on what happens later on this evening, about just how strong Premier League actually is at the moment for Newcastle. It is taken back.
Well, two weeks ago, John, it was the strongest league in the world by a distance, because the Premier League teams were dominating.
Yeah, first country to have 6 clubs in the last 16 of the Champions League. But it looks as though maybe Well, certainly only one through at the moment, and Liverpool will have to turn that tie around tonight. Commentary coming from 8 o'clock here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds as Newcastle go back to the edge of the penalty area. What are you thinking? How strong a favourite should we be considering Barcelona to be to actually win the Champions League this season?
That's a tough one. I mean, it does sound silly when I mentioned earlier Lewandowski 2 goals, but it's not the player which he once was, and
got the young legs around him though, hasn't he?
Yeah, you're right.
Newcastle have lost it. Ramsey and Olmo plays it forward, but Barcelona have to go back towards the halfway line. We've got 5 minutes to play. There's a wave going around the stadium now. I'm not sure if this calls for that. I mean, the entertainment has been fantastic on the pitch. What more can you want as a Barcelona fan? To come and see a team play the visitors from the Premier League and give them an absolute hiding. 2 goals for Rafinha. Bernal scored from the set piece. Lamine Yamal's penalty. Fermin Lopez was sent through. 2 goals for Lewandowski. So it's 7-2. I mentioned the fact that makes it, well, it's going to be 13 wins out of 13 since they came back to play here again in November, once all of the various paperwork had been done and they were allowed health and safety and all that. As Barcelona have it, Lamine Yamal's going to try a shot that Ramsdale juggles and then catches above his head. Just juggled it up in the air and then caught it above his forehead.
Yeah, good hands in the end. That's the problem. Newcastle just cannot get up the pitch. Ramsdale throwing it out there, but they are being swarmed by this Barcelona team.
And that makes it now, in these 13 home matches, Chris, an aggregate score in Barcelona's favour of 46-9 in 13 matches. So you can work out the average of that for yourselves. As this wind, this capricious wind, continues to swirl.
It's raining. Do you know, I just felt a spot of rain. Mystic Mark,
our engineer,
he was right. We laughed at him.
I can't feel that. Are you sure?
Yes. Unless somebody's thrown some water over us.
Here is Barcelona again. Rafinha's ball into the box. Looked as though it hit Botman's arm right on the edge of the penalty area. It's swept out of play by Byrne for a throw into Barcelona down the left-hand side. So very likely it'll be Barcelona against Atletico Madrid.
They're checking.
They're having a look. Was Byrne inside the penalty area?
Well, that's the thing, was it?
They're having a look. The referee's saying, wait on. Don't take this yet. And
was it Byrne or Botman? I think it was Botman.
Sorry, Botman. It was, yeah.
I thought he was outside the
area. I just felt a little bit of that moisture in the air. It's the wind. I think the wind's blowing it in off the Mediterranean. As Barcelona, big cheer for Szczesny. And then Olmo, he almost twisted himself into the ground and he's lost possession. And then Osula, Ramsey, Barnes, and Ramsey takes up possession again for Newcastle. Listen to that wind again. I think that's the strongest gust yet. As in comes the challenge from the youngster Espart to put the ball out of play, and he's given a rousing reception for that as well. And Newcastle have got 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes plus added time before they can be put out of their misery here.
Byrne's gone forward, Botman's gone forward, Chow's gone forward for a long throw from Lewis Hall.
Here it comes, into the near post, headed down, doesn't clear the penalty area. Then the shot from Ramsey, that actually hits Araujo, knocks him off his feet. I think it might have caught him on the side of his head, and he has just gone straight down to the ground, and we'll have another stoppage here.
Yeah, he's down on his back. It was absolutely powered, wasn't it, from Ramsey? A Ramsey rocket right-footed into the side of the head, but yeah, that's a concern. They're pulling him up, but you have to take the time with these head injuries. I mean, listen to the atmosphere here, John. You mentioned 60,000. You said, what did you say, 26, 27? They're going to...
Yeah, the end of that season.
I've got work going on in my house. We had a little flood about 6 months back, and I hope the workmen have finished before the 26-27 season, John.
Well, it's supposed to be finished for 2024. Here's the corner for Newcastle, which is headed wide of the near post by Barnes. Tried to glance it across goal, but headed it wide of the near post. And Araujo does look a little dazed, I must say. He's on his feet, leaning forward. He's taken a right crack on the side of his face. But Barcelona 7, Newcastle 2. A record defeat for Newcastle in European competition. Willock to Hall. Passes it forward down the left wing to Harvey Barnes. Barnes, wonder if he might be in the England squad on Friday morning. We'll see. Now Willock outside the box, back to Hall. Hall with a shot from the angle. I thought there might have been an offside flag there, but
offside,
Chesney made the save. And for some reason the Barcelona players are running back into the penalty area all around him, and I think that might be because Araujo is still feeling the effects of that the ball in the face that he took.
I am really surprised that we didn't see physio or doctor going on there. I mean, Ramsey, the ball's sitting there, Ramsey absolutely hammers it off his face, and this is where you think, head injuries, it's a serious head injury, that, and the players just drag him up. I think it's really, really poor, this. I do.
I think Dan Burn might be making that point, to the referee. Dan Burn is talking to the referee, and he's looking at Araujo, and Chesney's coming to have a word as well. And
that's it, I think.
The whistle's gone. Well, he's playing no added time. How odd. Well, what a strange way for a remarkable night's football to end. As the Barcelona club song sounds out and reverberates around the new Nou Camp. What a night for them. 7-2 winners. Newcastle lived with them in the first half, but they could not keep pace in the second. 7-2 on the night, 8-3 on aggregate. A record defeat for Newcastle to finish their season in the Champions League, out in the round of 16.
Yeah, and for a game and a half, Newcastle were well in this tie, and on paper it is an absolute hammering. 7-2, of course it is, but well in the game at half-time. The penalty from Yamal giving Barcelona the lead, but then Barcelona just came out. Second half went up a gear, went up 2 gears, and absolutely pummeled Newcastle, who, it was a sorry state, Newcastle, at the end of this game, and into their Champions League campaign, and another disappointing start to the night for another Premier League team.
Yep, Newcastle out. It was always going to be tough to come here to the Nou Camp, the way that Barcelona have played since they've returned to this stadium. So that's 13 wins out of 13 for them here. But as well, they are the Spanish champions. They're the Spanish league leaders. They have got so much experience in this competition. This is now the 25th quarter-final they've reached in the European Cup / Champions League. And who would bet against them? 7-2 on the night, 8-3 on aggregate. And the Barcelona players here on the pitch down below take the adulation and the cheers from their supporters inside the stadium.
And I suppose the thing is, Chris, that like other games this week, that's not a tight 1-goal in it. That's an absolute blitzing in the second half, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is. And John spoke about the quality of Barcelona. Fermin Lopez, Yamal, Rafinha, they have that quality. Second half, it was a real stroll for them. They dictated the pace of the game. They slowed things down, and then they went through the gears and really gave Newcastle the run around. Eventually, Eddie Howe went for the extra centre-back, and that was the white flag saying that we're done here. We can't compete. We're just going to try and keep the score down. And that was a sorry ending in many respects from Newcastle. Eddie Howe was brave the way he set up. He said, "I'm going to come to the Nou Camp. I'm going to go toe to toe with you." I've got to say, in the first half, it was so exciting. But so a sorry Newcastle performance in the second half. But you can get found out by the quality of teams, like Barcelona, like Real Madrid. They were phenomenal, and some of the young players they have in their team. they're a delight to watch. You listen to the noise within the stadium. There's that belief that they can possibly go all the way in the Champions League, flying in La Liga, and tonight just shows the confidence of this team, and they're celebrating and they're milking it as they should.
Yeah, I mean, it's an embarrassing scoreline, but they may have been hit 4-7 by the team that actually goes on to win this Champions League.
They look a bit shell-shocked, don't they, John, actually, standing in the corner
Absolutely.
that their fans are?
Yeah, they went over there, applauded up to the highest part of the stadium currently, which is still pretty high. And many of them had gone, actually, probably long before the end of the match. They're under the floodlights there, but I can see a lot of empty spaces in there. And yeah, they do look quite sheepish, the way that they're leaving the field. For a team, a squad of players, some of the most expensive footballers in the world play for Newcastle United. And to be beaten like this by this scoreline, that is chastening.
I often think when we throw this out there, that actually fans of the respective clubs don't really care, and the discussion about the strength of the Premier League is more of a media obsession than a fan obsession. I don't. If you support Arsenal, do you really care how strong the Premier League is if you're going to go and win it? That's the only thing that matters. But John, I'll ask you this now, because by the time we get to 10 o'clock and are talking about it again, you will have gone long into the Barcelona night. Will it be a valid discussion throughout the media over the next few days, do you think?
Well, it will be a discussion. I thought it was interesting. I was listening to you on Monday night, and when Rory Smith was talking about how many English clubs have reached the latter stages of the Champions League. So they're dominating to an extent, but they're not necessarily dominating the latter stages year after year. Then in saying that, it could well be, it is a possibility yet as we speak, Liverpool and Arsenal could yet both reach the Champions League final. So there is the possibility of it being an all-English final.
Yeah, no, I think Rory on Monday night was making excuses and in some respects, Mark, and of course Rory's not here to defend himself, so I won't go too hard. But he was talking about the strength of the Premier League and the big teams in France, PSG, and Barcelona, Real Madrid in Spain having easier games, not such intense games. And we saw Liam Rosenior last night. What was his? He talked about Chelsea players being fatigued and they hadn't had a break. But if you're a top player at a top club, you don't. I think that is an excuse too far, because you don't get a break if you're a top Barcelona player, Real Madrid player, PSG players. They play all year round. I think that's a flimsy excuse, and we're looking for things. The Premier League were getting all the praise for 6 teams when they qualified, but it just shows you that there are a lot of handy clubs around Europe who, on any given day can give you a thrashing, and that's essentially what has happened.
And this is not an outlier in the Champions League knockout stages. You do get crazy results. You get big wins. This is where the players want to do it, and I think we saw this tonight with Barcelona. They were not going to settle for what they've got. They were going for goal after goal here.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a pummeling in the end. But I mean, you look at the scoreline last night. The Manchester City game, Real Madrid. That was a sort of not a false scoreline, but Manchester City were really good last night. And you look at the score over the 2 legs and think, well, that was an absolute walloping. But it didn't pan out like that. And Newcastle tonight had one bad half, and Barcelona can do that to absolutely any team. They can make you look foolish, they can make you look stupid.
I think also when we're having this discussion, I think you need to look at what PSG did against the English clubs last season in the Champions League. The way that on a regular basis they dismantled the Premier League's best round after round.
John, we wrote them off, didn't we? Marcus, one of my favourite phrases, that's not how you start, that's how you finish.
Is it?
Yeah. Well,
no, I meant is that one? No, I know the phrase. I meant, is that one of your favourite phrases?
Yeah, there's many. I've got many. That's one of them.
Okay. All right. Cool. You're going to have a fun evening, John. Go through Chris's favourite phrases this evening. Thank you, John Murray, Chris Sutton.